Your worth is not defined by who chooses you. It's defined by how you choose yourself. Brianna Wyest. You've spent so long waiting to be picked, to be wanted, to be seen in a way that felt permanent, certain, and loud enough to silence your doubts. You thought love was proof of your value, that if someone stayed, it meant you were enough, that if they walked away, something in you had failed. You chased validation, not because you lacked depth, but because somewhere along the way, you were taught that your reflection only mattered in someone else's eyes. You learned to tie your self-worth to how others responded to you, smiled when they approved, shrunk when they didn't, apologized for taking up space they didn't offer. You softened yourself to be more likable. You edited your truth to sound more palatable. You waited for someone to choose you so you could finally choose yourself. But worth doesn't wait for permission, doesn't need confirmation, doesn't become more real because someone else finally saw what was always there. You were worthy before they noticed. You were worthy before they stayed. You were worthy even when they left. No one's absence has the power to diminish your presence. No one's silence can erase the truth of who you are and what you carry. You don't have to be chosen to be enough. You already are. Entire. Complete. Even in your loneliness. Especially in your loneliness. You hesitate to celebrate your wins unless someone else claps first. You wait for approval before allowing yourself to feel proud of anything you've done. You replay conversations not because you said something wrong, but because no one affirmed your words, and you worry silence means disapproval. You feel invisible when someone doesn't respond. You equate being ignored with being unworthy, as if attention is the only proof you exist fully. You shrink your joy if no one notices it. You downplay your progress if no one compliments it. You hold your breath until someone says you're enough. You check your phone for reassurance. You search for signs that someone is thinking of you, validating your place in their world so you can validate your own. You overextend just to be needed. You say yes when you mean no, because rejection feels like evidence that you were never good enough to begin with. You shapeshift to fit into spaces not made for you. You measure your tone, your timing, your truth, all in hopes of being chosen over forgotten. You struggle to set boundaries because you fear they'll leave. You fear they'll leave because deep down you believe you must earn your place, not simply take it. You interpret someone's distance as a reflection of your failure. Carry their absence like proof of your lack, even when you did nothing wrong. Compare your worth to who they stay for, who they listen to, who they respond to. It's if love is a competition and being chosen is the prize. You attach meaning to delayed replies. You internalize being left on read as rejection, and you replay it as if it confirms everything you feared about yourself. You say you're fine, but what you really mean is, I just want someone to choose me without me having to prove I deserve it first. You overperform in friendships, in love, in work, hoping that if you show up perfectly, someone will finally see what you've been trying to prove all along. You struggle with rest because resting feels selfish. You think if you're not constantly earning love, it might disappear the moment you stop moving. You rarely ask for what you need, not because you don't have needs, but because asking has been met with disappointment so many times, it now feels unsafe. You apologize too quickly, even for existing, even when it wasn't your fault. Because staying small feels safer than being too much and pushed away. You confuse love with relief. It's not because you don't understand love, but because being noticed feels so rare that even crumbs feel like warmth. You hand over your worth to people who haven't earned the power to define it. You forget that their inability to love you is not proof that you're unlovable. You want to be seen so badly that you sometimes abandon yourself just to stay close to someone who only values the version of you that needs their validation. And in your quietest moments, you wonder who you might become. If you stopped needing to be chosen and started choosing yourself instead, because your worth was never meant to depend on someone else's recognition. It is not a reward you earn. It is the foundation you are built upon. You were already worthy the moment you took your first breath. Not because of what you could offer, but because of the simple fact that you exist. Being chosen does not validate you, and not being chosen does not diminish you. What others see or don't see in you is a reflection of them, not of your value. You are not a product. You're not a performance. You're not something to be evaluated, picked, or passed over like an item on a shelf. When someone doesn't choose you, it might hurt, but that pain does not make them right. Their absence does not define your identity. Being loved is beautiful, but it is not proof of your worth. You were not made to be completed by others. You were made to be whole on your own. The most honest love does not arrive to rescue you. It arrives to meet you where you already stand, fully rooted in your own self-worth. When you believe you must be chosen to be valuable, you place your power in hands that can drop it, forget it, or misuse it. But when you choose yourself, you build something unshakable. You no longer need to beg for belonging. You become your own place to land. You stop over-explaining your feelings. You stop performing for affection. You stop translating your soul into a language someone else is unwilling to learn. Because you are not here to be convenient. You're not here to shrink into the shape of someone else's expectations. You're here to take up space. You're here to tell the truth, to be the truth, even when that truth is not easy, even when it costs you approval or comfort. When you realize you are enough on your own, something changes. You stop fearing rejection. You start trusting that what's real will recognize you. You no longer confuse silence for failure. You no longer make someone else's emotional unavailability your personal responsibility. Choosing yourself doesn't mean closing your heart. It means opening it in the right direction. A word, people, places, and choices that reflect your inherent value. You stop trying to earn love and start inviting it. You stop chasing attention and start embodying presence. You stop waiting and begin becoming. And in that shift, you become magnetic. Not because you've changed to be chosen, but because you've returned to who you are when you stop trying so hard to prove it. You don't need to be picked to matter. You don't need to be seen to be real. You don't need to be loved to be lovable. You already are, so let them choose what they choose. Let them walk away if they must. Your worth stays with you, untouched, unshaken, unbroken. And that is the kind of worth that no one can ever give to you, and more importantly, no one can ever take away. You begin by listening. It's not to what others want from you, but to the quiet voice inside that says, "This is what I need to feel whole." You choose yourself when you say no without guilt, when you trust your boundaries. You stop making your comfort negotiable for someone else's convenience. You choose yourself by honoring what drains you and stepping back without apology. You're not selfish for protecting your peace. You choose yourself when you stop asking for permission to rest, to breathe, to do nothing but exist without producing something valuable for others. You choose yourself every time you stop performing. Every time you speak your truth without shrinking. Every time you walk away from what feels wrong. You don't have to wait for others to validate your desires. You get to say yes to your intuition. You get to follow what lights you up, even quietly. You choose yourself when you stop trying to be easy to love. When you stop editing your emotions to avoid conflict or make someone else more comfortable. You don't need to be low maintenance to be lovable. You don't need to be agreeable to be worthy. You don't need to be chosen to matter. You choose yourself by staying soft in a world that told you to harden, by feeling everything without apology, by showing up as the whole of who you are. Choosing yourself is not loud. It happens in the smallest moments, in how you speak to yourself, in what you tolerate, in what you walk away from. It's in the way you stop chasing people who only come close when they need something. In the way you stop reaching for hands that stay closed. You choose yourself when you believe you are enough without applause. When your existence alone becomes reason enough to treat yourself with gentleness. You choose yourself when you don't settle. You let silence be better than shallow connection. You wait for what truly sees you. Every time you speak up, instead of staying silent just to keep the peace, you're choosing yourself. Every time you pause instead of pleasing, you're returning home. You stop needing to be chosen when you realize you were never here to be anyone's backup plan, compromise, or emotional shelter from their own storms. You are not a second option. You are not an almost. You are not the person someone gets around to loving once they've healed enough to see your value. You choose yourself when you stop waiting for someone else to notice your worth and start acting like it's already known, already rooted, already true. The more you choose yourself, the less tolerance you have for anything that asks you to prove what's already been true about you from the start. You will still long to be chosen sometimes. That's human. But longing doesn't mean lack. It just means your heart remembers what it deserves. Every time you choose yourself anyway, even with shaking hands and a soft heart, you grow stronger in the only love that never leaves your own. You don't need to be chosen to be whole. You don't need to be wanted to be real. You don't need to be loved to be lovable. You are not waiting to become someone worthy. You already are. Even in the silence. Even in the absence. Even when no one sees the full picture but you. Being passed over does not make you invisible. It just means someone couldn't recognize what wasn't meant for them. that is not your failure. You are not here to beg for a seat at a table that doesn't honor you. You are here to build your own table and fill it with your truth. The ones who see you only when you're useful will never understand your depth. Don't shrink to fit into places that ask you to prove you belong. You are not here to convince anyone of your value. You are here to become someone who never forgets it, even when others do. Choosing yourself is not a rejection of others. It is a return to yourself. A return to the place where love is no longer a transaction, but a truth. You don't have to explain why you walked away. You don't have to justify your boundaries. You don't have to soften your strength for anyone. You were never too much. You were never too quiet. You were never not enough. You were simply waiting for the day you'd stop asking others to decide that for you. That day can be today, not with loud declarations, but with gentle choices. The kind that say, I matter, even when no one claps for me. You are worthy of love that doesn't need convincing, of space that doesn't require you to shrink, of peace that doesn't demand performance. The right people will not need you to dim your light to feel comfortable beside you. They will meet you where you are without needing you to change. And until those people come, let your own love be enough. Let your own presence be enough. Let your breath, your softness, your boundaries be enough. You don't need to be chosen to be valuable. You don't need to be pursued to be beautiful. You don't need to be needed to be essential. What's meant for you will not require you to abandon yourself. What isn't will fall away the moment you decide to stop fighting to be seen. Let that be your freedom. Let that be your power. Let that be the reason you choose yourself again and again and again. And if today is hard, if you're tired of hoping, if your hands are empty and your heart is aching, just know this, your worth is still intact. Even here, even now, especially now, you have not been forgotten. You are not alone. And the love you've been waiting for can begin with you.